But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have.
Yep, it's all the fault of white people, women.
So we're about to have a look at Matt Walsh breaking down kind of what happened and led up to this election and reflect on Joy Reid's response as it pertains to the election. But I want to ask you guys, do you think that Kamala Harris was put in there to intentionally lose, like by the DNC? Do you think that since it was a half-linked campaign, did they just kind of throw her in there to throw her to the wolves, essentially, rather than risking taking damage to one of their more favorable candidates like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or some of these people that the lefty pundits like Cenk Uygur and David Pacman and others were suggesting should be the one to replace Joe Biden, and then suddenly it was Kamala Harris, and they even skipped on Josh Shapiro, I think his name is Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, to be her running mate and went with Tampon Tim Walz. I'm just curious because I'm beginning to think that may have been the case and that they were just hoping that the Democratic apparatus that is the mainstream media and these woke loyal pundits would, you know, basically get her elected or not, but then they would just deal with Donald Trump for 4 years, hope that they could win the Senate or the House, which hopefully, and it looks like Republicans have also won the majority in the Senate and the House. So not only will Donald Trump be president, but he should be able to operate more freely as opposed to the way he was in his first term when, yes, they had the Senate and the House in the first 2 years of his first term, but that was a bunch of rhinos that didn't want to work with him, that didn't believe that he should have even been elected. And this time, hopefully that isn't the case. But like I said, I'm just curious what y'all's thoughts are on that.
Once you destroy your reputation, it's gone. And the reputation of the media and the bureaucracy is gone. They just have no power anymore. The people who should have power, Americans have decided, are those who are honest, people who create things, people with talent, people with intelligence, innovators, pioneers, leaders. Americans have decided that Elon Musk, for example, should have a bigger role in how this country is run. Elon is a great man of history. And now he'll be teaming up with another great man of history, Donald Trump, in a partnership that has potential to change America for the better in immeasurable ways. That's what the voters decided in overwhelming numbers. They decided that Elon Musk should be rewarded for running a company that just caught a rocket booster in midair so that it could be reused. He should be rewarded for creating self-driving cars and restoring freedom of speech to social media. Like, Americans don't care that Elon isn't a half-black, gay, Asian, trans woman or whatever. They don't care that he doesn't check all the Democrats' DEI boxes. They care about merits. That's what they care about. And that's why Kamala was just roundly defeated yesterday. And it's why, if they're smart, Democrats will never run such a transparently phony and vapid and utterly useless candidate ever again. But there's good reason to believe that Democrats are not smart enough to learn that lesson. Hopefully they don't learn it. Hopefully they keep running candidates like Kamala.
And I want to add, I just saw on X about 10 minutes ago that Kamala Harris is potentially the front runner for the Democratic Party in 2028. Who'd have thought?
Indeed, let's hope they give Kamala herself another shot in 2028. I think she deserves it. Let her keep running. Nevertheless, she persisted, remember? Now, from the meltdowns on MSNBC last night, it's clear that the usual on-air race hustlers certainly aren't learning any lessons from this. They're still continuing with their spin long after it's clear that nobody buys it anymore. It's pathetic to watch, but it's also instructive. These are the last gasps of a form of propaganda that is now, as I said, totally impotent. And it was truly comical at points. Joy Reid, for example, praised Kamala for running a quote-unquote flawless campaign. Watch.
Woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed her. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift, she had the Swifties.
Flawless. You know, she had Taylor Swift. It was flawless. What else do you need? That's all it takes. A flawless campaign that got totally trounced, yet it's flawless. No flaws. No flaws in a campaign that led to this woman getting blown out. Amazing. You know, and Kamala refused to speak to the most popular podcast host in the country. She barely did any interviews at all. She proposed massive new taxes on unrealized capital gains, along with price controls, you know, promising effectively to destroy what was left of the American economy. She reversed pretty much every one of her policy positions from the past few years on everything from seizing firearms to eliminating private health insurance to banning fracking. Offered no explanation for any of this. But according to Joy Reid, these are all markers of a flawless candidate. Not one single flaw. So how did Kamala fall apart then? What happened to the campaign? Well, you probably know what Joy Reid's going to say. She explains that white women voted on the basis of race, meaning they didn't vote for Kamala because she's black. And watch.
You have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, you know, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more, party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
Yep, it's all the fault of white people, women. Yeah, you know, scapegoat. Just respond to this by denigrating, the vast majority of the American population. Great idea. That'll help you in the next elections. This is the degree of introspection that somebody like Joy Reid is capable of, and if we're being honest, it's why MSNBC is probably going to change a lot in the next 4 years. If it's able to continue to exist, it means it's going to have to change. Nobody takes this lazy, pitiful commentary seriously anymore. Just nobody takes it seriously. In response to a defeat of historic proportions, Democrats and MSNBC are now reduced to calling Democrat voters racist. That's where we are. Now, what's more likely is that, contrary to Democrats' expectations, most women are not obsessed with killing their own children. Now, that's the issue here. The whole pitch to women voters from Democrats was, hey, vote for us and so that you can kill your babies. Turns out that pitch is not good enough for the majority of women. Maybe it was a mistake to make every single advertisement into a demented lie about abortion when Americans are struggling to pay for groceries.
Damn straight. It seemed like every single one of these advertisements that were targeting women was about protect women's reproductive rights or protect women's health or whatever. And it's just like exactly what Matt Walsh just said. It was basically kill your babies. It's like, can we at least go back to when, like whenever I was growing up, they were talking about abstinence and, trying to do things to protect yourself from not only STDs, but also pregnancy. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy to not get pregnant, even if you still want to have sex. And so maybe try those things rather than trying to make it a political platform. They wanted to say, these Democratic pundits, they come out here and say that, Trump blocked the border bill when it had money going to other countries. And it was just basically making the federal government bigger to facilitate more asylum seekers who are coming in trying to beat our system, essentially knowing our system better than the people because they're illegal immigrants. But yet there's this path through asylum to kind of work it around, right? Work around how the laws are supposed to be enacted. And at the same time, they're out here just thinking that you're stupid, right? And the reality is, Most women do want to have babies. Most women do want to have families, or at least that's the way I see it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that most people are just, it's in their nature to want to grow up and be parents and enjoy the second half of their life, essentially becoming a grandparent and a parent and things like that. You know, I mean, a Friendsgiving just doesn't compare to a Thanksgiving full of nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters, kids, grandkids, great grandkids, all the above, right? And I gotta say, who did Joy Reid's hair? I hope she didn't pay more than $3 for that haircut, because she did not look very good with that hairstyle. Just saying. But you know, this is a result, and Joy Reid's way of thinking is a result of how the left eats their own refuse. They stay in their echo chambers. They don't listen to anyone, and they just preach from their own high horse. This is how it's supposed to be. And she's even doing it right there when she goes out and blames the white women, because I can tell you, I know a lot of white women who went out there and voted for Donald Trump. And the assumption that because of women were voting in higher numbers, that they were all voting for Kamala is a complete farce. It was a lie. And they just immediately believed that all these women were going to vote for Kamala simply because they're women, right? And, you know, women stick together, like feminist type vibes. Well, I believe there's fewer feminists than there are just normal women who want to have kids and grandkids and families and, you know, have a husband. And it's funny because there's all these women over here on X now coming out with, well, good job, men, good job, all the rest of you. I'm not going to have sex for the next 4 years. And it's like, oh, darn. So you mean you're going to actually live a cleaner life? Your future husband will thank you for that. They'll thank us for that, for electing Donald Trump. So anyways, I thought this was funny. I'm glad Matt Walsh called Joy Reid out for her nonsense. And I just wanted to point out that, like I said, this is a result of echo chambers, people not willing to listen to the other side. And I want to encourage folks to listen to the other side, have full conversations. They want to tell you don't have political conversations with your friends because that's what breaks up friendships. Well, I say if you can't talk to your friends about important things in life, then are they really your friends? You know what I mean? So anyways, have these discussions, go into it with a kind heart and understanding, and hopefully both parties are willing to receive what the other person has to offer. And with that, I think I'll wrap up there. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, especially when you share the videos, so share this one as well. I want to also let you know that the Jar Openers podcast, I go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. We are expanding that into Wednesdays. The time is still to be determined, but I think it's going to be maybe around 6 o'clock. So be on the lookout for 2 shows a week now as we grow the Jar Openers podcast to eventually, hopefully, being a 5-night-a-week show. And other than that, if I don't see you there live, I will see you in the next video.